Picture an airplane with no nose, just a cockpit perched at the very front, flanked by two roaring engines. It's a sight that makes you do a double take, almost as if someone forgot to finish the design. But this wasn't a mistake. It was a bold statement in metal and rivets. This was the Grumman XF5F Skyrocket, a radical contender for the US Navy before World War II. At a time when most fighters looked sleek and familiar, the Skyrocket was a total outlier, a machine that seemed to come from a different world. It looked bizarre, but it was all about performance. A hot rod of the skies, built to climb fast and fly hard. The Navy wanted a fighter that could leap off a carrier deck and reach altitude before the enemy even knew what hit them. The wings started where the propellers ended, and the fuselage was so short it looked unfinished. The twin engines sat out front, giving the plane a stubby, almost cartoonish look, but every inch was designed for a purpose. Grumman's engineers weren't just being weird, they were solving real problems, aiming to build the ultimate carrier fighter. They wanted better visibility for pilots, more power, and a design that could survive the brutal life at sea. The Skyrocket was different, and that's where innovation happens. It was a testbed for ideas that would shape the next generation of fighters, pushing boundaries and challenging what was possible. Pilots who flew it raved about its speed and handling. It felt like being strapped to a rocket. The cockpit sat so far forward, it gave an unmatched view, perfect for spotting enemies or lining up a tricky carrier landing. This was a machine that broke the mold, daring to ask, what if we did things completely differently? It was a leap of faith, a gamble on engineering and imagination. The Skyrocket was a glimpse into a future that almost happened, a fighter that could have changed the air war. Imagine a sky filled with these odd-looking machines rewriting the rules of aerial combat. But like many brilliant machines, its story took a different turn. The world was changing fast, and sometimes even the boldest ideas get left behind. So buckle up, we're diving into one of aviation's most fascinating what-ifs, the little fighter with no nose and a lot of heart. Its legacy lives on in the lessons it taught and the risks it inspired others to take. It's not sleek like a Spitfire or mean like a Corsair, it's just different. And in a world of lookalikes, sometimes different is the spark that lights the way forward. And sometimes, different is exactly what you need. The Skyrocket was proof that thinking outside the box can lead to something unforgettable. The Skyrocket promised a climb rate that left enemies in the dust. It was a rocket with wings, a machine that made pilots dream bigger. It was Grumman's boldest experiment, and its story is one wild ride. Even if it never became a household name, it left a mark on aviation history. Let's find out why this oddball almost became a legend. Ready? Let's go. To truly understand the story of the Skyrocket, we need to rewind to the late 1930s, a time when the world was on the brink of war, and aviation was evolving at a breakneck pace. Back then, the Navy's main fighters were biplanes, sturdy, but already antiques compared to the sleek new monoplanes emerging in Europe and Japan. These biplanes, with their open cockpits and fabric wings, looked almost quaint next to the cutting-edge designs taking shape overseas. The threat was real. Enemy bombers were getting faster and deadlier, and the Navy needed something that could intercept them before they reached the fleet. The old biplanes simply couldn't keep up with the new generation of high-speed attackers. So, the Navy issued a bold call for a twin-engine high-altitude interceptor, a radical shift from the single-engine carrier fighters they'd relied on for years. This was a leap into the unknown, demanding new thinking and new technology. Two engines meant more power, more speed, and a better chance of survival if one failed over the vast ocean. It was a gamble, but the potential rewards were huge. Grumman, already famous for building tough, reliable planes that could take a beating, jumped at the challenge. They saw an opportunity to push the limits of what a Navy fighter could be. Lead designer Leroy Grumman and his team weren't interested in just tweaking old designs. They wanted to leap ahead, to create something that would set a new standard for naval aviation. The Navy's request was more than just a contract. It was a golden opportunity for true innovation, a chance to redefine what a carrier-based fighter could achieve. The key was to pack two powerful engines into a compact, aerodynamic frame that could still land safely on a carrier's short, pitching deck. It was a delicate balance of power, agility, and practicality. A conventional twin-engine design would be too heavy and draggy for carrier operations, risking disaster on takeoff or landing. The challenge was to break free from tradition. So Grumman's engineers started sketching ideas that broke all the rules. Radical concepts that had never been tried before in carrier aviation. Their goal was clear: create a fighter that was fast, powerful, and carrier-ready. A puzzle that no one had managed to solve yet, but one that could change the course of naval air power. The stage was set for something truly special. A new chapter in aviation history was about to begin. The Skyrocket would become Grumman's bold answer to the Navy's urgent call for speed, innovation, and a leap into the future. And when it finally took to the skies, it would look and perform like nothing else the world had ever seen. How do you build a twin-engine fighter that's light, fast, and gives the pilot a perfect view for carrier landings? In the late 1930s, aircraft designers faced a tough challenge: create a plane that could outfly the enemy, survive the harsh conditions of carrier operations, and still be easy to handle for pilots landing on a moving deck. The answer would require thinking far outside the box. Grumman's answer: get rid of the nose entirely. Instead of following the traditional long-nosed fighter look, they chopped the fuselage off right at the cockpit. The XF5F's fuselage ended abruptly at the cockpit, putting the pilot at the very front, with two powerful engines mounted close together on the wing's leading edge. This radical design was unlike anything else in the sky. This gave the pilot unmatched visibility, crucial for carrier landings where every inch of sightline could mean the difference between a safe landing and disaster. The engine's placement reduced drag and made the plane safer if one failed. With both engines close to the center line, the plane was less likely to spin out of control if one stopped working. The propellers spun just inches from the pilot's feet, a wild experience that made flying the Skyrocket feel more like piloting a rocket than a traditional plane. Every design choice was about performance, not looks. The engineers prioritized speed, agility, and pilot safety over conventional aesthetics. The close-set engines made the plane more controllable and safer over the ocean, where engine failure could be fatal. It was a practical solution for the dangerous world of carrier aviation. But this radical layout meant squeezing landing gear, fuel, and guns into a tiny space. A real engineering challenge that pushed Grumman's team to their creative limits. The result? A short, stubby, powerful interceptor that looked like nothing else. Its silhouette was instantly recognizable, even among a lineup of experimental aircraft. It was a masterclass in packaging and innovation, showing just how far designers would go to give pilots an edge in combat. The Skyrocket was built to climb high and fast, no matter how strange it looked. Its daring design proved that sometimes, breaking the rules is the only way to soar above the rest. On April 1, 1940, the XF5F Skyrocket took flight. Test pilot Connie Converse fired up those twin cyclones, and the plane leapt off the runway. The climb rate was jaw-dropping, 10,000 feet in just over a minute, faster than Spitfires or Messerschmitts. Top speed, around 383 miles per hour, a true hot rod. The big question, could it handle carrier operations? Thanks to its noseless design, pilots had excellent visibility for landings. The reinforced structure and tailhook were built for the brutal demands of carrier decks. While it never landed on a carrier during tests, simulations showed it could handle the job. Pilots loved its power and agility. It flew like a sports car. The Skyrocket proved Grumman's wild idea was a real contender. It was shaping up to be a world beater, giving the Navy a potential edge. The future looked bright for this strange little airplane. But challenges were just around the corner. Brilliant ideas often come with big headaches, and the Skyrocket was no exception. Cooling was a nightmare. Those tightly packed engines overheated easily, forcing constant redesigns. The landing gear, crammed into the engine nacelles, was complex and prone to jamming, a maintenance nightmare. In wartime, you need planes that are easy to fix and keep flying. The Skyrocket's compact design made it heavier than planned, hurting performance. Adding armor and firepower only made things worse. Every improvement added weight, tipping the balance away from speed and agility. Manufacturing was another problem. The unique design required special tools and skills. The Navy needed planes that could be built fast by the thousands, with inexperienced workers. The Skyrocket, for all its promise, was more prototype than production machine. Its strengths were becoming its biggest weaknesses. As Grumman worked to fix the Skyrocket, the world changed overnight. Pearl Harbor thrust the U.S. into war. The Navy now needed proven, reliable fighters, fast. Experimentation was out, mass production was in. The XF5F was still a prototype, plagued by cooling and landing gear issues. Meanwhile, Grumman's F4F Wildcat, slower but tough and easy to build, was holding the line. The Navy doubled down on the Wildcat and its successor, the F6F Hellcat. The Hellcat was fast, durable, and designed for mass production. Compared to the simple rugged Hellcat, the Skyrocket was too risky. The Navy passed on the XF5F, not because it was bad, but because it didn't fit the urgent needs of war. The prototype became a testbed, but its moment had passed. The dream of noseless twin-engine fighters was over, sacrificed to wartime necessity. Sometimes, even the best ideas can't outrun history. The Skyrocket's story was nearly at its end. The Skyrocket didn't vanish after its rejection. It flew as a research plane, teaching Grumman valuable lessons about twin-engine fighters and advanced aerodynamics. Those lessons shaped the F7F Tigercat, Grumman's next twin-engine naval fighter. The prototype's career ended with a belly landing in 1944, but its influence lived on. In fiction, the Skyrocket became a star. Its wild look inspired comic book heroes like Buzz Sawyer and the Black Hawk Squadron. For aviation buffs, it's the ultimate what-if airplane. Experts still debate, could it have changed the war if it had arrived sooner? The Skyrocket became a symbol of daring innovation, a cool underdog ahead of its time. It didn't win the war, but it inspired imaginations and future designs. Sometimes being different is its own kind of legacy. The Skyrocket proved that bold ideas never really disappear. The XF5F Skyrocket story is about more than one airplane. It's about the power of bold experiments. Progress demands risk, and Grumman took a huge one with their noseless, twin-engine design. Even though the Skyrocket never saw combat, it wasn't a failure. The engineering lessons on cooling, landing gear, and compact power shaped future planes like the F7F Tigercat and F9F Panther. Every failure is a stepping stone to the next breakthrough. History is full of bold ideas that didn't work out but paved the way for success. The Skyrocket belongs in that category, a flawed, brilliant machine that pointed to the future. Prototypes like this are the physical embodiment of innovation. They're built by teams willing to argue, experiment, and solve impossible problems. The XF5F stands as a monument to relentless curiosity and daring. Progress isn't a straight line, it's messy, full of setbacks and surprises. But you only move forward by daring to try something new. So, was the Grumman XF5F Skyrocket a missed opportunity, or a necessary step toward better planes? Imagine if its problems had been solved and it entered service in 1942. Its climb rate and twin engines could have changed the fight against Japanese Zeros. But war is practical. The Navy needed thousands of reliable fighters, fast. The F6F Hellcat was the right tool for the job, simple, tough, and effective. The Skyrocket was advanced but maybe too complex for the realities of war. Still, it pushed the envelope and made other designs better. Was it a brilliant idea cast aside too soon, or a fascinating experiment that rightly gave way to practicality? There's no easy answer, just a great debate for aviation fans. The Skyrocket story reminds us, sometimes the best ideas are the ones that make everything else better. What do you think? Let us know in the comments.